When it comes to the Denver Broncos and their off-season needs, I'm not quite sure that running back is priority number one for me anymore. I'm going to tell you why in 5 seconds. All right, so we know all about Shawn Payton and his running back usage. And if you don't, go back to about a week ago. My man Kevin Kistner was on Dover on Denver breaking down all the numbers. And since that show, this is kind of tell where my life is, I can't get that information out of my head. And I think about it over and over and over again. And the Cliff Notes version of that, to catch you up real quick, is that in Shawn Payton's past, he has never given a running back 20 or more carries more than 11 times in one season. And that happened once with Mark Ingram back in New Orleans. So that's the bar. 20 carries or more 11 times once in Shawn Payton's coaching career. So to me, why should I prioritize the running back when the head coach won't do the same? That's what I'm struggling with right now. What helps Bo the most in year number 2? Is it that running back that's going to get 15 to 20 carries and perhaps flirt with 1,000 yards? Sure, that would help. Imagine what that would do opening up play action in the middle of the field. It'd be outstanding for a second-year quarterback in Bo Nix. But like I said, why am I supposed to prioritize something that the head coach won't do? So with all of that in mind, I think I'm starting to lean towards a tight end. Perhaps even a wide receiver, if that's the option or the route in free agency. I really love that idea. So let's start to kick this around. I would love to interact with you in the comments here. Like, subscribe, comment, tell me what you're thinking, where your brain's at. But keep that in mind when you're thinking about draft needs, free agent wants, all of the stuff that comes with an NFL offseason. You need to know who Shawn Payton is. And he has shown us through 2 straight years. It's not a coincidence that the Denver Broncos have not had a 100-yard rusher in 2 straight years. That's criminal. I know it's 2025. I know what the NFL is today, but you can't get one 100-yard rusher in 35 games. That's what it's been because they did make the playoffs this year. That's criminal. But Shawn Payton's telling me who he is, and I'm going to choose to believe him. Will you? That's the big question. So if I can't go running back in round 1, and I know Ashton Genty is the want and the desire and the pipe dream is really what it feels like, because he's not going to be there at 20. And especially knowing what I just said, you want to give up draft capital to move up and get a running back that Shawn Payton won't use? Wouldn't that make it even more frustrating? I know I'd be more upset throughout the regular season if I know not only did they have to trade draft picks in 2026 draft, they're going to be down one because they traded that to go get Ashton Genty, and Shawn's not even using him. So I don't think I can go there. I'm starting to change my tune a little bit on this. Now, Tyler Warren. You want to talk about a guy I'd be willing to trade up for and go get. Colston Loveland is another name you don't have to trade up and go get. A lot of mocks have him being a pick in the 20s. A lot of them have him going to the Chargers right behind Denver at 22, if memory serves me right. So I like that idea. You steal something from a division opponent and you address the position of tight end. But let's talk about if you were to trade up. Like I said, you're going to trade up and get a running back that Shawn Payton won't even use. I'd be mad about that. You should be mad about that, Broncos country. You got to hold this guy to a higher standard. But you trade up to go get a tight end. Let's call it 11. That's where the San Francisco 49ers sit. The Saints are at 9. I don't know if they love or hate Shawn these days, but that could be a play because there has been one mock that had Tyler Warren talking about the tight end out of Penn State who plays fullback, running back. He's been the quarterback in some formations. He's been on the outside, a slot receiver, and then the traditional tight end hand in the dirt position. He can do it all. I saw one mock that had the Jets picking him at number 7. If you have to get up to number 7, I still might be willing to do that to go get a Tyler Warren. You know why? Because you're going to have to trade your first. You'd go up from 7. You'd give the Jets your 20th. Then you'd still have to give them probably a second-round pick. But guess what? You're out your second-round pick either this year or next. But then you could go watch Tyler Warren become a 800-yard all-purpose guy. Right? Catching and receiving are the same thing. Receiving and rushing. So you would actually get something out of that, right? The juice would be worth the squeeze, not with a running back. So I would go and trade up for a guy like Tyler Warren, but I can't do that for a running back. So what does that mean for the running backs? Well, you look at some of the free agent names. Aaron Jones, he'll be 31 when the season starts. Najee Harris is still young, but the problem with Najee Harris is Like if we were call Javonte Williams a JV running back, is Najee Harris a varsity running back, or is he just the starter on that JV team? I think it might be the latter there. Najee Harris isn't that much of an upgrade over a Javonte Williams. They're virtually the same guy. Low average per rush, might get you the 1,000 yards, but in a 17-game setting, it's actually not all that difficult to do, unless, of course, you're the Denver Broncos and led by Shawn Payton. So I don't think Aaron Jones, Najee Harris is the answer. I do have a name that I'll give a shout out to my boy Will Peterson of Mile High Hockey. Check out his podcast here on the Denver Sports YouTube. Writes for denversports.com and has actually been filling in with me on the radio side while our man Cecil Lammy's doing his thing at the Senior and Shrine Bowl. But Will threw me this name, Kareem Hunt. Yay or nay, Broncos fans? We know Kareem Hunt's had some problems in the past. We know what he's doing right now and has a chance to win a Super Bowl. But this is a guy that's getting a little bit older, a little long in the tooth for the running back position, but it's not going to cost you anything. I would much rather take a flyer on a Kareem Hunt. I'm out on Najee Harris. I don't think Jones is worth the cost, and is just too old. But I'd much rather take a flyer on one of these type of guys. Like, hey, what does this person have left in the tank? Well, it's only going to cost me $2 million, and the cap hit's going to be even less than that. So if it doesn't work out, you can cut ties, wash your hands before the season even starts. When you're getting through the preseason. That's what I'm looking at for running back, because I know who Shawn is, and you should know who Shawn is at this point. Running back has to be low risk, high reward. Low risk is not trading more of your draft picks. That's the opposite of that, right? Because still unknown, as good as Ashton Jeanty is. So that's where I'm at. I can't put all of my eggs in the running back basket, knowing that the guy I'm going to hand the basket to might just take all those eggs out and break them on the ground. That's what Shawn Payton's shown us with the running back. So I can't do it. Won't do it. Cannot play with them, right? I'm out on that. First round running back, unless it's falling to you at 20, you don't move up to go get one of those guys because the head coach doesn't make it a priority. So we shouldn't be doing it in Broncos country either. There's another layer to this. And I talked about wide receivers. Wide receiver in the draft or wide receiver via free agency. And maybe you have to spend close to half of the, $52 million this team is going to have to spend in free agency. You want to get a guy like Chris Godwin, you're going to have to spend about half of that. You want to chase T. Higgins, you're going to have to spend more than half of that to go get one of those guys. But I'll say this, as far as production goes, again, let's use what the Broncos have shown us to formulate a legitimate opinion. That's what I'm doing with the running back room. We'll do it the same thing with the wide receivers. They have shown us it takes, in the best case scenario, Marvin Mims, a year and 10 weeks to figure out how they can be used in the offense. Now, credit to Marvin, credit to Shawn. They did it from weeks 11 to 18, the last part of the season. Marvin was a true player. Devon Vele, Troy Franklin. All right, if we take that same timeline, that means those two dudes are going to be available, are going to be playmakers, are going to be threats in December of 2025. Is that soon enough, or do you have to go chase one of those names? As much as I like the name T. Higgins, I can't pay a wide receiver right now with this team and a second-year quarterback close to $30 million. There's so many other holes that this team needs to address before you go get and pay for one of those top-tier wide receivers. That could be something that you get the following year when all of Russell Wilson's money has officially come off the books. So I'm a little hesitant to pull the deal and go pay a wide receiver like $30 million. But a Chris Godwin type, think about that now. You have a Chris Godwin type, Courtland Sutton. Who knows what happens with Courtland? Because I don't think I'm in the mood or the mind frame that I want to extend Courtland Sutton. I might bump some incentives up that he can earn about $16 million, and then we'll cross the bridge at the end of the year when you're officially an unrestricted free agent and on the wrong side of 30. Did we not learn anything from the Russell Wilson deal? Let's let these guys and their contracts play out before the Broncos or any other team pays out for future production. So here's what I would like to see happen, right? With the Broncos and offseason moves via free agency and in the draft. I'm out on running back in the first round, especially if you have to trade up. Jeanty falls to you at 20, beautiful. Devin Neal's there in the 50s when you're on the clock again, beautiful. That's the move you make. I'm looking at either trading up for Tyler Warren, if you're really about that, you go get the guy that you've fallen in love with, or I would be down for Colston Loveland right there at number 20. Like I said, you take who the Chargers seem to be falling in love with, you address a position, and he's still a pretty dang good player, right? Best player available, the need, what's your draft strategy there? Well, if we were to list the top tight ends, Tyler Warren is first and maybe second, but Colston, the kid out of Miami, Arroyo's starting to get a lot of love right now, and I've mentioned Harold Fannin Jr. on this show, but I think that's the right plan. You don't trade at all. You sit at 20 and you take Colston Loveland if he's there. If that guy's not even there, maybe you even consider trading back. But that's the move. You take Colston Loveland at 20. You hope that a guy like Devin Neal's sitting there for you in your second-round pick, and you go chase Chris Godwin in free agency to give Bo some real weapons. So that would be your first 2 picks and your big free agency move, giving Bo Nix a running back that you can turn around and hand the ball off, have some success, and create play-action situations in the second half. You go get Colston Loveland. But hey, if play action is actually working, there's a big body tight end that can dominate in the middle of the field. And then you put Chris Godwin on the outside, opposite of Cortland Sutton on the outside, with Marvin Mims in that slot position. You're going to give defensive coordinators a lot of nightmares with that scenario moving in to 2025. That's my plan. Broncos country, what's yours? Tell me in the comments. I'll circle back and we'll have a conversation while you're there. Like, subscribe, check out all the shows we have at the Denver Sports YouTube page. But this has been Dover on Denver, and now I'm done.